When someone asks, bottled or tap at a restaurant, what do you say? We all want to do the right thing for our health and for the planet, but the answer isn't always as straightforward as it seems. For some, choosing tap water may be about reducing plastic waste, while others choose bottled water because it may be the only safe option. Let's start with the big picture. Bottled water creates a lot of plastic waste, and manufacturing and transporting it uses water and energy. Here's one eye-opener. It can take a lot more water to extract, treat, bottle, and transport that water than ends up in a bottle. A tough trade-off, especially in drought-prone places like California. So why do many people still choose bottled? Part of it is just the branding. Those labels with the snow-capped peaks and crystal springs sell a dream, right? Many people think that because they're spending so much more for the stuff in the bottle than what comes out in the tap, it must be a lot cleaner, but it's also a real concern. Reports have found dangerous contaminants in US tap water, including lead, forever chemicals called PFAS, nitrates, and atrazines. For many households, bottled water can feel like the safer bet. The question is it actually safer? Not necessarily. In fact, studies have found that as much as 64% of bottled water is tap water in a plastic bottle. Sometimes it's treated further, sometimes not. In a 2021 paper by Johns Hopkins, researchers found that PFAS were detected in 39 of the 101 bottled waters analyzed. That's 39% contamination. Some bottled waters also exceeded industry-recommended limits for bacteria. If consumed over time, some of those contaminants could increase the risk of cancer or other health issues, especially for people with weakened immune systems. Here's where it gets even more interesting, or rather confusing. Tap water and bottled water are regulated by entirely different agencies. What? I need to wrap my head around that, so let's speak with Erik Olson, a senior strategist and lawyer for NRDC's initiatives on health.
Thanks for having me, Mel. Just so you know, the EPA regulates tap water, while the FDA, at least in theory, oversees bottled water, but only if it's sold across state lines. So bottled water that's packaged and sold within one state, which is a pretty big chunk of the market, is supposed to be regulated by individual states. And when we looked several years ago, about 1 in 5 states didn't regulate bottled water at all.
Oh, wow.
So bottled water generally isn't held to any higher safety standard than tap water. And in fact, tap water in most big US cities generally has to be disinfected, filtered for pathogens, and tested much more frequently than is required for bottled water. So bottled water companies often only have to test for bacteria once a week, for example, whereas tap water in bigger cities has to be tested 100 or more times a month for bacteria.
100.
So the two types of water generally have pretty similar limits on chemical pollution, but bottled water might have a slight edge when it comes to one thing, which is lead, mainly because tap water can pick up lead from old lead service lines and plumbing inside of homes. On the flip side, some plastic bottles contain and may leach hormone-disrupting compounds or other harmful chemicals like antimony.
And then there are micro and nanoplastics. Recent research found that a single liter of bottled water contains about 240,000 micro and nanoplastic particles. That's a huge number, and scientists are increasingly linking micro and nanoplastics to harm in our digestive, respiratory, and reproductive systems. Even bottled water in glass containers isn't necessarily safer because plastic is often used in caps, liners, tubing, and filters, all of which can shed plastic particles and leach chemicals into the water. Unfortunately, microplastics can also be found in tap water due in part to how widespread they are in the environment, and that many of us have some plastic plumbing in our homes, especially in newer homes. All the plumbing may be plastic, and even older homes, the final tubing connecting to your faucet is often plastic. We are just learning about the scope of plastic particle contamination of our tap water and bottled water, as scientists have only recently begun to study this issue in earnest. Stay tuned for more studies that are in the works. Now, knowing all of this, what should you do?
So if you live in a city with regulated municipal tap water, drinking tap water, especially through a certified filter, is often going to be your best bet. Home water filters that are independently certified by a group like NSF International or WQA can help remove specific contaminants like lead or forever chemicals called PFAS. You can find out what's in your tap water by checking your annual water quality report or by sending a sample to a state-certified laboratory. Doing a basic test of tap water quality is actually surprisingly affordable, and it can give you peace of mind, or at least guide you as to what contaminants you want to filter for. And testing for forever chemicals like PFAS or for micro or these nanoparticles of plastic can be hundreds of dollars or even thousands of dollars. So that's probably not a realistic option for most people.
This was all super helpful. Thank you so much, Erik. If you still prefer bottled water or if you have no other option, read the label carefully. If it says from a municipal source or community water system, it's just tap water. Some bottled water may be cleaned with advanced treatment like reverse osmosis. If it is, the bottle usually will say so. If there's no information, you can call the bottler and ask how it's treated and for test results, but often they will only share data on things like minerals, not tests for toxic chemicals. While tap water systems have to regularly report to their customers about how they treat their water and what contaminants they find in their water, bottled water companies generally aren't required to be transparent. In many cases, regulations don't go far enough to protect consumers from emerging threats like PFAS or microplastics. In the end, if you have a choice, bottled water isn't necessarily purer or safer. It's often just more convenient and more cleverly marketed, and of course, a lot more expensive than tap water. If you think about it, bottled water generally costs more than gasoline and hundreds and even thousands of times more than tap water. So, if you want to protect your health and the planet and your pocketbook, the best move is to test your tap water, especially if you're on a private well. Install a reliable filter and skip the plastic when you can. You can use that tap water and carry it around in a steel or other non-plastic water bottle. While of course, some communities have serious tap water contamination necessitating the use of bottled water or advanced filters, in most cities, you don't need fancy packaging to drink safely. With the right information and a little preparation, you can make healthier, smarter choices right from your own faucet.